Hello people of the internet and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I wanted to talk about how I study and give you guys some study techniques and kind of study tips that I use. Basically I have this series on my channel where I basically vlog my day-to-day as a student, and it's called Study Diaries, so I thought it would be fitting to actually kind of teach you guys how I study since I'm pretty much studying and doing homework 24/7. That sounded... I'm pretty much doing homework 24/7. But yeah, I guess I am kind of a nerd because I like talking about organization and studying and productivity. So hopefully you guys are also nerds about that because I will be geeking out about that topic for the next few minutes. By the way, feel free to grab a cup of tea or whatever snack you like and yeah, sit back and take some notes because we're gonna be, I don't know, giving advice. Okay, so first I want to go over different study techniques depending on what exam I'm studying for with 3 examples. So the first exam I'm going to use as an example is a chemistry exam. Basically, the first thing that I do when I have a chemistry exam or whatever science exam is I will basically go over all of the chapters all of the chapters that I have to study. And because I'm not the type of person that can kind of just read and absorb a textbook, I like to do mind maps at the same time, and mind maps are my new obsession. I just love making them and making them look nice, and it's really great for linking things together because a lot of the time when I'm in class I understand part of the theory but not all of it, and so when I'm studying that's really when I put things together. And I would also suggest using post-its and writing any questions that you have, so that way you can ask the teacher. And once I have basically gone over all of the chapters in my chemistry textbook, I will do some problems, some chemistry problems and equations. Sometimes when I don't have the time to do every single page in my textbook, I'll just focus on the ones that I know I struggled with the most. So usually when I'm doing them as a homework, I'll do a little circle around the number that I don't really understand, and yeah, I'll do that one over and over again. Well, not over and over again. I'll do it once and then I can kind of see what my mistake was and I can learn from that. And then the last thing that I like to do, and the last kind of study technique I use for a chemistry exam, is I like to explain the theory to a friend or a classmate, especially the day of the exam. Usually I'll go to class a bit earlier and I'll sit in the corner with my friends and we'll just kind of go over everything that we don't understand and explain things to each other. And yeah, this is really helpful, especially right before your exam, because it's all fresh in your mind and you can kind of focus on what you don't really understand and kind of put things together last minute in your brain. So yeah, that's basically how I study for a chemistry exam. And yeah, I also kind of quickly wanted to add a little side note and talk about how I study for math, because I guess it's kind of similar, except that for math there's really not that much to understand. It's really just practice. And yeah, I hate to break it to you, but how I study for math is basically just by practicing math problems and yeah, really not being afraid to ask questions. And then the next type of exam I wanted to go over is a history exam. So yeah, basically the first thing that I do is kind of like chemistry. I'll go over all of my notes, and instead of doing mind maps, what I find that helps me the most is doing summary sheets, because oftentimes my history notes are so confusing and they're all handwritten and really just not cute. So I like to do a summary on my computer because it just takes a lot less time, but I know some people like to make them really pretty and Pinterest looking, so if you're into that, go ahead, but I just find that I prefer practicality over aesthetics when it comes to history. Once I'm done typing up all of my summary sheets, I'll print them and compare them once more with my notes that I took in class, and then that's when I'll really go in and highlight stuff. I'll add little text on things that I kind of needed precisions about, and I also like to add, once again, post-its. So yeah, if I don't really understand a decision taken by a government or something, then I can just ask and kind of figure it out. Because for history you do have to learn things by heart, but it's also kind of understanding each point of view. So yeah, once I have done my study sheets, the next thing I like to study with is Quizlet, and boy, I owe half of my academic success to Quizlet, I'm gonna be honest. For example, in my history exams we have to learn about different historical figures, so I can do one about those. Sometimes you can use them for dates. They're basically like flashcards but online, and you can kind of use different learning modes. It's also really useful if you have to learn like another language. I know when I was learning Spanish, I basically use that for vocabulary a lot. Quizlet, if you want to sponsor me, I will do it for $1. Tea break. I also like to watch different documentaries and YouTube videos. There's this channel that's called Oversimplified that my teacher suggested, and it's really fun to watch because it's really funny and it kind of like oversimplifies the history, so it's really fun to learn. And yeah, I like to watch those and watch a few other like documentaries and kind of informational videos that I can find on YouTube, because really studying is all about using your resources, so that's one of the things that I like to do. And then this is something that I like to do, especially with history exams. The night before my exam, I'll basically FaceTime my friend. Shout out to Rosalie, she's like my all-time history study buddy. But yeah, we always FaceTime the night before an exam and ask each other questions on the whole chapter. I'll usually like, go over my summary sheets and kind of ask her questions based on that, and we can kind of explain things and basically quiz each other. I mean, personally, we're able to like stay focused and be pretty productive. Sometimes we kind of get off track, but you know, I think finding a person like that can be helpful, although you have to make sure that you're both going to study and you can't get sidetracked and distracted. So, okay, next, the last type of exam I'll go over is an English literature exam. First thing that I do, obviously, is I have to read a book because the exam is about the book. So to make it a little bit less painful to read, I like to listen to an audiobook at the same time. And yeah, I'm very visual, so I need to like listen to it and read it at the same time. But I find that finding an audiobook and putting it in like really high speed will like kind of help me focus and make it less mentally draining. Yeah, usually like English teachers are really passionate about their like job, so they'll be really happy to answer any questions you have, and if not, there's always the internet, so thankfully we have that. I was talking about resources, and again, for English literature, it is so easy to find. I said earlier that Quizlet is what I owe my academic success to. I would have to include SparkNotes in that as well. I love SparkNotes. Oh my god, it's so convenient. I know there's like Cliff Notes and a bunch of different websites like that as well, but for like the few people that don't know what it is, it's basically a website that has most of the like famous English literature books. And you can kind of find chapter summaries, book summaries, character analysis, theme analysis, a bunch of like different really helpful resources that will often be really useful for your exam. Oh, and another resource I would like to mention is TED Ed. There's also Crash Course, which I didn't write down, but I'm just now remembering. TED Ed and Crash Course, my heart goes out to you guys because the videos are often really interesting. I mean, again, I'm like a studying nerd, so to me, like watching TED Ed videos and Crash Course is interesting, but I know that's not the case for everyone. But truly, I find that it just makes studying a little bit less painful because the complicated book that you had to read is like summarized in a cute little 5-minute animated video, and it actually like is useful most of the time. And then I wanted to add a few different like extra tips for motivation and other like study techniques I didn't really mention. So first of all, I would suggest having a schedule, and I would also suggest not starting too early. I know a lot of the time people tend to like leave it off until the day before or start it like 2 weeks in advance, but I find that personally like a week to 5 days in advance works best for me. And you also have time to ask questions to the teacher, that way you don't have to like send them an email the day before the exam. And yeah, I talked about a schedule, which I basically kind of give myself like a to-do list for every day, and that really helps with like stress as well because I have an actual clear plan of what I have to do, and I definitely feel less overwhelmed. This is like basics 101, but it's to set your phone away. Sometimes that's literally just me putting it in a drawer and then forgetting that it's there. And then another thing that I really like to do to motivate myself, and this is one of my best tips, I think, is to really like set the mood. So light a candle, bring yourself a blanket, have some tea, have a snack of your choice, and yeah, just set up your workspace so that it's actually like, I don't know, how do you say, like sometimes you just gotta make yourself a snack, and food is gonna be your motivation to study so that you can snack on something while you study. You have to really make sure that you're listening to music that you can focus with, because if you are listening to like your favorite songs, oftentimes you'll just end up singing them and dancing to them, which isn't the best way to be focused. I mean, if you're able to listen to songs like that while studying, props to you, but I cannot, so I'll usually go for some lo-fi or jazz. Just find whatever works best for you, and sometimes that's not even listening to music. I know that a few people find it too distracting, so another thing that I like to do from time to time is I'll put on a study with me from YouTube and kind of have that like in the background. You kind of feel like you have a study buddy, but like virtually. This is especially great because with self-isolation we can't really go to a library and do that with our friends. Obviously right now we kind of have to create our own library at home and our own coffee shop and make our space cozy. Also, if you want to kind of recreate a virtual study with me, I would suggest setting up study dates with good friends that you know will hold you accountable. Yeah, we'll basically just set up a timer, work for 25 minutes, and then you like talk for 5 minutes and go back to work. Like, I don't know, it's kind of comforting to know that you're suffering with someone else. Don't take too long of breaks. Like, if you're studying for 10 minutes and then you watch an episode on Netflix of something, like, that's not very efficient time management, but make sure that like your breaks and work time are proportionate, but also that you do take the time to take breaks. Yeah, I don't know, I like to go on walks or make myself a snack when I'm taking a break, and kind of like refreshes my mind for a bit. Okay, and then the last tip, I hope this video wasn't too long, but that is to learn how your exams are. Just knowing kind of how it's going to be structured, just so that you can kind of know what to expect, because you don't want to like study for like 3 hours for a quiz that will take half of your class, you know. Hopefully this was helpful. I pretty much spilled all of the studying secrets that I knew. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up if you want, and you can also subscribe to my channel to see more content from me, and turn on the notifications or whatever if you feel like it. Also, feel free to comment down below any studying tips that I didn't mention or that help you, because I'm always really open to learning more, and I'm sure everybody watching this video would appreciate it. And yeah, with that being said, I really hope that I was helpful. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or night, and I will see you guys in my next video. Good luck with your studying.